Bull XRP, good to see how you doing. How you been? Pure, good to see you as well. Evening, how you doing? How you been? Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Kamal, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? T, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? M, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, Miles. Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? XRP news, yes. We do have Ripple and XRP news to go through, but I left it towards the end of the live show. Anna, good to see you as well. How you doing? G, hi Miles, give us the scoop. Let's go. How you doing, G? Also, apologies for starting the live show a little bit late today. Basically the platform that I'm using to go live on X and YouTube at the exact same time just wasn't working for some reason, so I had to restart the entire platform again. That's why I was taking a bit longer to start the live show. So apologies, everyone. Very odd. The platform just wasn't working, but now it's working perfectly fine. So, Pablo, good to see you. How you doing? JP, good to see you. How you doing? When will XRP ODL start beginning? Based on what? When will the XRP ODL start beginning? Well, they're going to start beginning with some. Well, it goes back to what I said previously, which is the 3 green lights, which is 1, the case has to be over, essentially, first green light, 2, the regulations, and 3, adoption rate. But we do have some regulations, as I mentioned, it is a bit scattered. So they can start using it on a very small, medium-sized scale before this are upscaling linked. But the first thing that needs to be done is this case needs to go away. Hello, Miles, CMF, good evening. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? So, I'll do a gist of what we're going to talk about tonight's live show, and then I'll do the disclaimer and intro, and then we start off the live show. So on tonight's live show, we are going to be talking about the Jersey City. So the Jersey City is about to be adapting Bitcoin ETFs into its pension funds. Now, this is in the first, essentially, state inside the United States that's going to be doing this. I've talked about it before, that another state inside the United States has decided to go towards Bitcoin ETFs for pension funds. Now, we're also going to talk about VanEck on tonight's live show as well. VanEck has came out and given an interesting prediction of where they think Bitcoin's price point is going to be. We're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding RF Kennedy, essentially, and his new assumptions or new regulations that he wants to put in place if he becomes president of the United States. He has some interesting allocations and plans to go forward on. We're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding the Coinbase Group, who has just been fined $4.5 million inside the United Kingdom by the Financial Conduct Authority. We're also going to talk about the mega interest rate cuts coming in the US. Expectations are sought, and some data that we're going to be going through regarding rate cuts. We're also going to talk about India on tonight's live show as well, regarding India to decide on crypto policies by September. Now we do know that the United Arab Emirates is moving very quickly. At one point, India was moving quickly as well, and so was the EU and so on. But the United Arab Emirates has taken over everyone in terms of speed on regulations and processing and so on. So India is going to be essentially spearheading their situation as well now. We're also going to talk about the Philippines on tonight's live show as well, regarding their CBDC policies going forward and when they are essentially going to be announcing the release. We're also going to talk about Kamala Harris on tonight's live show as well, but from Ripple's perspective. So Brad has came out and given his perspectives on Kamala Harris. Now, it is an interesting perspective. We'll go through it as well on tonight's live show. We're also going to talk about the XRP ETF, mainly because SBI Holdings is entering the US market for ETFs. So there is some speculation going on there as well, which we'll go for on tonight's live show as well. So on tonight's live show, we're going to talk about Ripple perspective on Kamala Harris. We're going to talk about XRP ETFs on a possibility. We're also going to talk about rate cuts of a possibility and speculation coming in. Philippines on CBDCs, India on crypto policies moving forward and spearheading towards crypto policies, and talking about essentially Coinbase Group getting a fine inside a financial conduct authority in the UK, pension funds going towards Bitcoin ETFs, RFK Kennedy Jr. giving his perspectives of if he becomes president, what he will do for the United States, and some other perspectives from Van Eyck. So, quite of a mixture of news to go from tonight's live show. But before we go through any of that, welcome to the CMF Live Show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is the CMF Live Show. You can tune into this live show every single night. I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, regulations, and politics. Everything that you need to know going into a digital world. Now, the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. Entertainment purposes, whatever I say. Sorry, just adjusting the light behind the camera, the ring light. So welcome to the CMF Live Show. If you're new and if you're regular, let's go CMF. The live show has officially started now. As I said, the disclaimer, not financial advice in any sort of a way. So, before we go for the first news, which is regarding Jersey City adapting Bitcoin ETFs for pension funds, which is a big move. But before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first and let's see how we are. We also do live Q&As as well. So, essentially, if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. If you're watching this from YouTube or X right now, either one, and the comment section is joint and it's live. So if you have any questions, go for it. I read everybody's comments one by one. Orphan, good to see you. How you doing? Greetings from 111. Wow, Desert Las Vegas land. Let's go, Leroy. Leroy, how you doing? Will ODL start right after the case? No. Could do. It's an outcome. What do you think, and what will that do to prove the price? To the price. What would that do to the price? It would help the price incredibly, but it wouldn't be an instant type of situation. It's not an overnight type of situation. It's an over time situation, not an overnight situation. And in terms of would it be right after the case? An outcome, not the outcome, but starting either way. My brother, in your opinion, do you think this case will end this year? Thank you. Yes. Gori Clothing, I do believe that this case will be ending this year. There's nothing left from this case, and it is being milked too much. I mean, two perspectives on this case coming to an end. One perspective is from Brad, so Ripple's side. According to Brad, this case is going to end sooner than you think. Now, from the SEC's perspective, from a former SEC lawyer perspective, this case is going to go to a final judgment, not a settlement, and it's going to be in a matter of weeks. So that's this perspective from the SEC side, and then we have the perspective on Brad's side, essentially ending sooner than you think, and then the SEC's former lawyer stating that and this case is going to come to an end in a matter of weeks, not on essentially settlements, but based on essentially a final judgment in a matter of weeks. So we have two perspectives, and also something that I said starting this year and at the ending of last year is when I said in 2024 there's nothing left. This case is going to be coming to an end. Good day, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you. How you doing? What's your realistic price for XRP end of this year, Miles? Realistic price? XRP is an interesting asset with incredible high potentials. But for it to reach those potentials, certain regulations need to be in place. Now, we do have some regulations, but certain regulations still need to be in place. It's the only asset that you can't put your finger on it and say it will stay at this certain price point or it's going to be this price point. Because a lot of people will say, oh, it will be $1 or $2 and so on. It's not going to be those rounds. It's going to be a little bit higher. So depending on the regulation, depending on the adoption rate, consider variable change. But high, not the high that you're expecting, but high. Hello, Miles and CMF. Coin, good to see you as well. How you doing? Free and Feather. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. Evening, Miles and CMF. Joe, good to see you as well. Central bank CBDC partners with currency of internet, COTI, and price goes up. Let's go. Thank you for the update, Leroy. Evening, Miles and CMF. Semper, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good day, Miles. Dale, good to see you as well. How you doing? Send you a message on Telegram, Semper. I'll check it out after the live show. What is the thing that starts after the case if it's not the ODL adoption only? Well, it is the ODL adoption, but it's not What I am trying to say is regarding the ODL adoption, it's not going to be an instant type of situation where everybody jumps on board and everybody flips the switch together. As I said also at the beginning of this year and also the endings of 2023, it's going to be switches that happen, here and there, here and there. It's not going to mean everybody switching together on Ripple gets turned on, XRP gets used 24/7 basis overnight type of situation. It's not like that. It's going to be some there, some here, some there, some here. It's going to be scattered across the world. So it is going to be the ODL adoption, as I said, but it's not going to be the way you expected, where everybody presses a button at the same time. Case ends tomorrow. Boys, just slope with Taurus. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Denise, good to see you as well. How you doing? I believe a cyber attack will happen around election and the whole world will be shocked. It's an outcome. Miles, do you also think that the election can extend for a year? No. The dates on the elections now, Congress, there is a regulation within Congress where they can extend the presidential election. Now, there is a regulation that I mentioned once on this live show a very long time ago that Congress can use to extend or move a certain date in terms of policies or something. In terms of the presidential elections, they can move some dates around. So it is a possibility. What for price is high, like you said, for end of this year? Your prediction? 5 to 10 is what we should be expecting. Even the Miles and family, hope you're well. Ian, good to see you as well. How you doing? So step for step, ODL will start right after the case. Yes, but also consider one other point as well. So I said, if anybody remembers, I said a very long time ago, Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning. I said a long time ago that imagine for a second that the case comes to an end. Price goes up, price comes down, because people who've been holding XRP will sell because they've been holding for 6 years, 7 years. They see a $2 price mark or $1 price mark, they're selling. So price goes up, price comes down. And I said, imagine everything ends and then nothing happens to the XRP price. And the banks don't adapt it straight away on purpose. Everybody remember me saying this on the old CMF live shows? I said, imagine the banks don't essentially adapt it straight away on purpose. And they just start using essentially Ripple's other platform that they're still using right now, just to essentially get people out one last time, is what I said, because they're full of manipulation and corruption. So imagine the case ends, people are waiting for that adoption rate, and it doesn't come around instantly or how people expect it to come around. And the banks don't adapt it straight away. It's because they're trying to mess with you one last time. Because essentially what I did say is the PDF documentations are there, the partnerships are there, the contracts are there, the developments are there. Those all confirmed information and factual information. So they're going to adapt it either way. But I said, imagine for a second that case comes to an end and they don't adapt it straight away. And people think to themselves, I can't believe they haven't adapted. I've been holding for years. Why are they not adapting? I'm selling. It's basically, there's a possibility of an outcome of that happening as well. Always consider the psychological. Step 8. I've always said to you on that PDF Telegram, on that PDF document that I released in Telegram group as well, I did say to you, step 8 is all about psychological. So when it comes inside the market space, you've got to have that psychological aspect. You've got to understand manipulation and corruption, that they can mess with you one last time. So yes, I do. Shelly remembers and T remembers as well. So consider that point as well. Don't let them mess with you one last time. Now, why people on X talking about extending the election till 2025 November? I say a big extension if they do that, but they can in terms of, there's a regulation based in Congress where they can extend it for a certain period of time if they can push it 2025 November. Not possible, but it's an outcome, considered as an outcome. 5 to 10, what was that? Sorry, XRP. Why should the cyber attack happen around election? I think maybe to extend the election and start a new financial system. 10 euros end of the year? No, bro. Haha, too low. Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 miles. Thank you so much, Ian, for telling me about for updating me regarding that. So the regulation of the policy, essentially, that they can move certain time periods of presidencies is Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. It's basically a policy that I mentioned a very, very long time ago. I remember, of course. Let's go below. I believe they will adapt. I believe they will adapt it after regulations. 2025. I believe they will adapt it after regulations, which is the higher possibility. Well, we do have some regulations, but it is quite scattered. But yes, it goes back to also what I said as well, which is 3 green lights. 1 green light is case getting over done with. 2nd green light is regulations, and 3rd green light is adoption. Do you believe we will not see big movements before 2025? Nope. We can still see movements. I have considered as an outcome. Okay, never consider one path and say, well, this is the only outcome the market can go towards. No, consider always multiple outcomes. Only a foolish person would consider the market going one way, and that is all. An intelligent person will essentially outweigh 3 to 4 outcomes the market can play out based on factual information. So don't just consider it as we can only see big movements. Not saying you're saying that, but don't consider it as you can only see big movements after 2025. You can also see big movements before 2025. Consider it as an outcome. I have heard elections won't happen in November 2. They can extend the time only if war. They can extend the time based on other aspects as well. Yes, I remember. Let's go, Daniel. So you think 5 to 10 by the end of the year is an outcome? It's not the outcome. It could be higher. It could be a little bit lower. But the big point is the case will be over. That's the biggest point. Which basically means that nothing's stopping it. Nothing. Except some regulations. But the case will be done with, and essentially it will have the title it needs, essentially, not a security, basically, on paper. Does that explain the effect with different countries coming on board at different times? Yes. Yes, pretty in favor. Now, the first news of tonight's live show, which was Jersey City. So Jersey City to adapt Bitcoin ETFs and pension fund allocations. Jersey City Mayor Stephen has disclosed that the city's pension funds will invest some of its resources in Bitcoin ETFs. This move comes in the wake of the Wisconsin Pension Fund. Now, the Wisconsin Pension Fund is something that I revealed a while ago, that they did invest into Bitcoin ETFs according to their filings with the SEC. Now, which has already included Bitcoin ETFs in its investment portfolios. Jersey City to adapt Bitcoin ETFs. Jersey City decision to buy Bitcoin ETFs clearly indicates that the city is open to accepting and integrating cryptocurrencies. The mayor of Jersey City, Stephen, has shared his vision on cryptocurrencies, saying that he has been a supporter of them for quite a long time, though they are rather volatile. According to him, the pension fund of Jersey City is in the process of filing new papers with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the process should be completed by the end of summer. Interesting enough is also the predictions Brad gave for the case coming to an end of summer. This comes at a time when more and more traditional financial institutions are opening up to the world of digital assets. At the same time, he stressed the importance of blockchain as a revolutionary technology that is on par with the internet. In May this year, the pension fund of Wisconsin invested 2% of its money by buying over $160 million in shares of Bitcoin ETFs. According to the reports, between January 1st and March 31st, SWIB purchased roughly $99 million worth of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETFs and about $64 million worth of Grayscale's Bitcoin ETFs, expansions of Bitcoin ETFs and institutional interest. Jersey City's decision follows a trend of increasing uptake of Bitcoin among institutional investors across the United States. In an earlier interview in May, Michael Saylor, the chairman of MicroStrategy, stated that it is only a matter of time before Bitcoin will be included in the U.S. pension fund portfolios. And he was correct. Essentially, sailor advocacy for Bitcoin and pension funds is gaining traction as more institutional investors recognize the potential of cryptocurrencies as a part of a diversified investment strategies. Moreover, investors and entrepreneurs, Robert has endorsed Bitcoin and mentioned the policies that under Trump's administration could lead to more gains in the value of cryptocurrencies. Robert also believes that the weak US dollar would lead to more exports and jobs, hence the price of gold, silver, and Bitcoin and stocks would rise. Given that over $27 trillion is managed by pension funds alone, the US, including cryptocurrencies, could benefit from diversification of investments and improve returns. Furthermore, the Japanese SBI Holdings revealed that it plans to partner with Franklin Templeton to launch a new investment management business of digital assets this year, which we're going to be going for towards the end of the live show. And this partnership is meant to facilitate the growing needs for ETFs and other digital assets. Now, we're going to go through the VanEck and SBI Holdings towards the end of the live show. It is quite an interesting topic to talk about, but the topic of the matter of right now, which is essentially Jersey City going towards Bitcoin ETFs. Pension funds are going towards Bitcoin ETFs. It's not the first pension fund to go towards Bitcoin ETFs, and Wisconsin was the first one, which they made quite a substantial amount, $160 million. They said that they are going to be investing a lot more into it as well, and essentially Wisconsin isn't the only one. And going outside the United States, we've also had essentially South Korea with one of the biggest pension funds, a private company, investing into Bitcoin ETFs. Not only Bitcoin ETFs, but also investing into Coinbase shares. It's one of the biggest pension funds in the world in South Korea, a private company. So not just the US pension funds going towards Bitcoin ETFs, but it's also outside the US as well. Even Australia has some private companies going towards essentially Bitcoin ETFs for pension funds. Now, the next news to go from tonight's live show, but it also does show the adoption rate happening in terms of institutions. Now, the next news to go from tonight's live show is regarding VanEck. Now, VanEck has came out with a interesting perspective on where they see Bitcoin hitting by 2050. VanEck has decided to come out with a report randomly. They decided to come out with a report. And they claim by 2050, which is quite a bit far off, Bitcoin will be hitting $2.9 million. Not $3 million or $2.5 million. In their words, $2.9 million Bitcoin will hit by 2050. Again, a very random report coming out of VanEck. Now, we're going to go through their perspectives on why they see it at that particular date and what they see in progress for it along the way. But before we go through VanEck's perspective, let's go inside the comment section first. And as I said before, if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. It is a live Q&A that I'm doing every single night. So if you have a question, put it down in the comment section. Just type it in. I remember, of course, let's see where we were. We were here. Love 369, good to see you as well. How you doing? Greetings, Miles. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. David, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? I'm watching on X Miles and it keeps buffering every so often. Is anyone else having some problems? It's always like this on X for me. T, you can watch from YouTube as well. Some people watch from YouTube, they prefer it, and some people watch from X. I will be happy just to see XRP reach $3 by the end of this year. Let's go, Daniel. But yeah, if this is buffering for some other reasons on X, you can watch this live show on YouTube as well. Some people prefer watching on YouTube because there is no buffering. Because it is right now live on X and YouTube at the exact same time, every single night. Now, VanEck sees Bitcoin hitting $2.9 million by 2050. But a lot has to happen first, is what they said. The massive asset manager, VanEck, essentially an issuer of spot Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, says that Bitcoin's price may reach $2.9 million by 2050, assuming some pretty high hurdles are cleared. Under VanEck's assumptions, they did a report, and on their report, Bitcoin would become an essential part of international monetary systems in the next decades as a rising geopolitical tensions and ballooning debt servicing costs adore the current system. As we look at the world right now, this is VanEck making a bold statement. As we look at the world right now, we see enormous economic imbalances, raising distress in existing institutions and continued depolarization. Matthew, head of digital assets of research at VanEck and one of the report authors, said in an interview on CNBC, he said, "We think many of these distortions stem from a massive misallocation of capital since the global financial crisis, as G7 governments have abused the printing press, spending borrowed money on impossible goals. Bitcoin is the ultimate hedge against this rising physical recklessness." In the report's base case scenario, BTC would become a key medium of exchange in local and global trades, representing 10% of international trade settlements and 5% of GDP. Meanwhile, it will also gain as a global reserve asset at the expense of our four largest foreign reserve currencies, the US dollar, euro, British pounds, and Japanese yen, reaching a 2.5% weight in international currency reserves. If things play out as Van Eyck envisions it, Bitcoin's price will increase in value by 44 times, gaining 16% annually from its current price of just below $65,000. Its market capitalization would soar to $61 trillion. The provocations of layer 2 networks will play a key role in overcoming the Bitcoin blockchain's bottlenecks and scaling issues that prevent BTC from being a useful medium of exchange, the report said. The sector could collectively be worth $7.6 trillion by 2050, applying the same valuation framework as for Ethereum layer 2s. Van Eyck also warned about potential risks ahead that could stifle Bitcoin's expansion. Increasing energy demands by miners will require innovation, while revenue from processing transactions has to grow dramatically to replace diminishing mining rewards, which get cut in half every 4 years through the halving. To incentivize the miners to sustain the network, concentrated efforts by governments around the world to restrict or outlaw Bitcoin are also a threat. Further risks highlighted in the report include competition from other cryptocurrencies and large financial institutions extorting too much control. Yes, there is also obviously going to be a lot of essentially competition happening. Bitcoin is not the only competition in town going into a digital world. There is a lot of competition out there. Bitcoin is still trying to get over the step of the Lightning Network. Bitcoin's main issue is it's slow and expensive. Now, the Lightning Network is coming around to fix these slow and expensive parts. For quite a while now, they've been working on the Lightning Network. It's not going too well, but I think somewhere down the line, they'll get the Lightning Network up and running perfectly. But for the time being, the Lightning Network is not that great in any sort of way. But there is going to be competition, obviously. Ethereum is going to be a massive competition to Bitcoin going forward due to its smart contracts. XRP is going to be a massive competition as well due to the case being over and it has multiple licensings, multiple contracts, and it's quite worldwide in terms of their contracts and partnerships and the businesses they own, Metico and so on. AVAX is going to be quite a big of a major player as well towards Bitcoin as well due to the amount of banks actually using AVAX Avalanche or Subnet Green. In terms of real world assets, Ethereum is being used on that purpose as well. So is it going to be XRP, so is Chainlink, and so is AVAX as well. So there's a lot of, obviously on the basis of competition, quite a lot. So Bitcoin being the only player in town, not possible. In a digital world especially, definitely not possible. There's a lot of competition out there. But an interesting perspective, they did make some factual information. Now, the factual information that they did essentially give from their own perspectives was essentially the printing machines that have been turned on quite a lot back to back. That is a bit of a factual information. Yes, they have been abused. The G7 countries, according to Van Eyck, the G7 countries have abused the printing machines, which is true. G7 countries being the United States, the United Kingdom, the EU, and so on and so on. They have abused the printing machines, definitely. That's why I want a crazy bit of inflation going on. That part is all true, yes. But Bitcoin being the only player in town, definitely not. There's a lot of competition out there. Now, R.F. Kennedy Jr. has came out with an interesting perspective. Now, we do know that there are three people in this race. So there is Trump, there's Kamala Harris, and there is RF Kennedy Jr. Now, obviously, a lot of people don't see RF Kennedy Jr. as any sort of competition because he might not get any votes. And some people don't see Kamala Harris either for any sort of competition, and Trump is the clear winner in this section. But RF Kennedy Jr. has came out with an interesting perspective. He said, basically, in a very simple term, that if he becomes president of the United States and he wins the election and essentially he becomes the president of the United States, he said that he will make the US government, buy $615 billion worth of Bitcoin. He will make the US government buy $615 billion worth of Bitcoin. His policy, if he becomes president of the United States. Now, I'll share you what he's pretty much exactly said on what basis. But before we do that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were. We were here. Same, I changed to YouTube for the exact reason. I had the same problem on X. I moved to YouTube. Yes, that's why I moved over to YouTube. Skip JP. Same here, but I have switched to YouTube. Everyone's on YouTube now. There's some people on X still, I think, left. Hey, Shelley. Hey, Carol. Carol, good to see you. How you doing? Ripple donated 300,000 of XRP to Trump. RF Kennedy Jr. will pull votes away from Trump. It just muddies up the votes. Fair enough. Now, regarding RF Kennedy Jr., his perspective. He can't win, so I will pull the votes away from Trump. He can't win, so he'll pull the votes from Trump. RF Kennedy Jr. aimed the growing rumors that the president, Donald Trump, wants to establish a US Bitcoin reserve. The rival presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., says he'll take things an enormous step further. In an interview, he did an interview with an independent candidate. He said he'll push the federal government to buy Bitcoin until the size of its Bitcoin holdings matched the nation's gold reserves. The US government is the world's largest owner of gold, boosting essentially about 8,134 tons of precious metals. At current price, that's around $615 billion worth of gold that the United States has. Matching that value in Bitcoin would require a whopping 9.4 million BTC at that current price, or nearly 45% of the total supply that will ever be mined. Bitcoin is an honest currency, he said. Kennedy said this in a conversation with Custodian Bank CEO Kathleen Long. He said it's a currency that's based on proof of work. Everything's on the ledger. It's decentralized, and that's what we need to do with democracy. Such a massive Bitcoin allocation would align with Kennedy's previously announced plans to both government's currencies and debt, with a basket of hard currencies naming gold, silver, platinum, and BTC as a viable investment. He expanded on these plans, saying that a new class of US Treasury bills could be anchored to that basket by the 1% in its first year, 2% in its second year, and ultimately 100% over time. The country's Bitcoin acquisition, however, would occur essentially during Kennedy's first 4 years in office alone. I would like to have the federal government begin to buy Bitcoin, and over my term in office, ultimately have an equivalent amount of Bitcoin that we have of gold. If that happens, the United States would easily be the world's largest Bitcoin holder by today's standards. The Vantage MicroStrategy, the world's largest corporate Bitcoin owner, currently has 226,000 plus BTC, worth $14.41 billion. BlackRock, the world's largest Bitcoin ETF, controls about 334,000 plus BTCs, worth $21.73 billion. As the price of BTC rises, the government wouldn't need to stack 9 million BTC before reaching its $615 billion benchmark, though it would surely still make the United States one of the most dominant owners, and an acquisition plan of this magnitude would create an unprecedented windfall for BTC investors during Kennedy's term. Kennedy previously proposed to scrap capital gains tax on Bitcoin, which would incentivize the Bitcoin industry to stay inside the United States. He said, if we want to save our democracy, we need to decentralize, Kennedy said in an interview. Bitcoin is honest because there is nobody in charge. Slight misinformation, what Kennedy has said. Bitcoin is honest because nobody is in charge. Bit of a misinformation. Yes, it might look like nobody's in charge of Bitcoin, but the price can be manipulated by people who are holding too much. And in some cases, there's a lot of governments out there that own too much. And these governments can manipulate the price. Yes, Bitcoin has no owner, but it can be manipulated and become an extremely volatile asset. So you could kind of say it has multiple owners. Because there are countries, you know, on the other side of Korea, North Korea owns quite a bit of Bitcoin. Russia owns quite a bit of Bitcoin. China owns quite a bit of Bitcoin. Iran owns quite a bit of Bitcoin. And some other countries own quite a bit of Bitcoin. Some governments own quite a bit of Bitcoin. And the biggest Bitcoin mining institutions are all essentially owned in some part way by Marathon Digital. And Marathon Digital owners are the heavy shareholders of Marathon Digital are BlackRock and Vanguard. So it might look like Bitcoin has no owners. It might look like that Bitcoin is honest and there is nobody in charge. But technically, there's a lot of people in charge, because all of those people that I just name dropped, all those countries and governments that I just name dropped, all those big 5 mining institutions in the world that control the price points, you know, there's a lot of people in charge by the looks of it that can manipulate the price to go skyrocketing high or skyrocketing back down again. So there's a lot of people in charge. So a little bit of misinformation. Everybody always assumes, you know, Bitcoin, there's nobody in charge, but the price can be manipulated, just like any other asset. Before anybody says, well, you know, this asset can be manipulated as well. Yes, every asset can become manipulated. And just because Bitcoin has no owner, it doesn't really mean it has no owner, because of who owns the majority of it can control the price point. And who owns the biggest mining institutions can control the price point. They can just shut it down, for example, and that will manipulate the hell out of it. Remember when China decided to ban Bitcoin? What happened to the market space? If you were in the crypto space at those times, if you were around, China decided to ban Bitcoin. It pretty much took down the market. And then they changed their minds, and then they changed their minds again, and then they changed their minds again, and then changed their minds again. Every time China changed their minds, Bitcoin went like this. So it might look like it has nobody's in charge, but by the looks of it, there's a lot of people in charge on the price of it. And then when they did finally ban Bitcoin in China, Bitcoin mining, apparently still not really banned. In some small cities in China, they still do mine Bitcoin within the law, actually. But the biggest corporations, the biggest mining corporations, all left China, and they're pretty much now in Texas. And the biggest one being Marathon Digital, who's also today announcing they're investing $100 million into Bitcoin mining institution equipments. And they're also owned by essentially BlackRock and Vanguard. So again, you know, misinformation. If anybody ever tells you nobody's in charge of Bitcoin, it's the freedom token, look at the people that are holding it and the governments that are holding it. And then you think to yourself, is there really nobody in charge? Can it not be controlled? As I said, China changed their minds multiple times to ban Bitcoin, and the price went like this on Bitcoin. Just up, down. It was all over the place. If you were inside the crypto space at that time. So that was just a simple one, you know. So many other instances if you were inside the early space of crypto. Now, the next news to talk about tonight's live show is the subsidiary of Coinbit. And also, just one last thing to point out regarding RF Kennedy Jr., which is RF Kennedy Jr. says that Bitcoin is an honest project. Maybe he should leave it as an honest project, because RF Kennedy Jr. wants to own 45% of Bitcoin supply. He's made the quote of Bitcoin is honest because there's nobody in charge, and his plan is to own 45% of Bitcoin supply by buying $615 billion worth of Bitcoin. His logic makes no sense. The statement of Bitcoin is honest because there's nobody in charge, and he wants to own 45% of the supply. He contradicted himself there. Now, a subsidiary of the Coinbase Group was fined $4.5 million by FCA for onboarding high-risk customers. That's the next news we're going to go from tonight's live show. So $4.5 million, Coinbase is now paying as a fine to the financial conduct authorities in the United Kingdom for something they did that they shouldn't have done. And I'll tell you what it is. Before I do that, let's go to the comment section. If you have any comments, by the way, there's a live Q&A that's happening. I'm reading everybody's comments one by one, answering everybody one by one as well. So if you have a question, put it inside the comment section. Miles, I was led to believe that the BRICS countries owned the most precious metals in the world. Miles, I was led to believe, no, they're going to if those countries join them. Okay, so yesterday I revealed the news that 72% of precious metals are essentially going to be going under the control of the BRICS countries. That is only of those countries, those particular countries that own quite a lot of precious metals, join BRICS. Just to put it in perspective. That's only if they join BRICS. Now, some of them have applied to join BRICS, but we'll get a better picture at the next BRICS event that's happening. If I'm not mistaken, in Russia it's happening, if I'm not mistaken. But the next BRICS event that's happening is where they're going to be announcing maybe some new, essentially, countries joining them. Now, if they do get those particular countries joining them, then yes, they will have control of about 70-something% of precious metals under them. That's if they join them. But some of them have applied. He's right. No one person is in charge. There's a lot of people in charge of it. Can't RFK be vetoed? RFK Jr. has a great plan, but every vote for him is a vote for Kamala, as it pulls votes away from Trump, which is also true as well. Now, a subsidiary group of Coinbase was fined $4.5 million by the FCA for onboarding high-risk customers. The UK Coinbase subsidiary, CB Payments Limited, CBPL, has been fined £3.5 million, which is roughly about $4.5 million, by the Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, for multiple violations of anti-money laundering legislations. Apparently, Coinbase was moving slightly dodgy and doing some AML type of situations. Actually, they weren't listening to their own AML regulations, badly. So this is initial enforcement action carried out the FCA following electronic money registration 2011 against the cryptocurrency company. In October 2020, CBPL voluntarily agreed with the FCA to stop accepting high-risk customers to enhance its firm's financial crime controls. Nevertheless, despite these limitations, CBPL went ahead with the process of bringing on 13,416 consumers who were considered to be high risk. These customers deposited a total of around $24.9 million, which was then utilized for withdrawals and cryptocurrency transactions totaling $226 million through other organizations affiliated with Coinbase. So 13,416 people entered Coinbase at that particular time and date when Coinbase was essentially had a conversation with the FCA, don't accept high-risk customers so we can fix, again, essentially your anti-money laundering regulations. And Coinbase said, no problem, we won't take anyone on board that's high risk. So Coinbase went ahead and essentially through their subsidiary and partnered with, or accepted 13,416 people that put a total of $24.9 million into Coinbase, and somehow that $24.9 million turned into $226 million, and it was withdrawn, I'm guessing, from Coinbase. Yes, it was. It was withdrawn, and cryptocurrency transactions totaling $226 million through other organizations affiliated with Coinbase. The FCA's inquiry found that CBPL did not demonstrate sufficient movements and caution in creating and testing, implementing, and overseeing procedures to adhere to voluntary requirements, the organization failed to sufficiently evaluate all possible customers, onboarding techniques, resulting in significant breaches, and then remained unreported for almost 2 years. Coinbase issued a response to the conclusions of the FCA's, emphasizing its strong commitment to regulatory compliance and onboarding efforts to strengthen the systems to meet all regulatory responsibilities. The FCA recognized CBPL's collaboration in the inquiry and mentioned that the company was granted 30% reduction on a penalty for obtaining a settle to issue it promptly. This penalty acts as a cautionary measure for the crypto companies that lack adequate measures to prevent financial crimes, especially in cryptocurrency industries where the risk of money launderings are heightened. Companies that did not accurately safeguard against financial wrongdoings and neglect the adherence to operational limitations will be subject to examinations and enforcement measures. I personally think that Coinbase got off very easily, which is good, to be fairly honest. I mean, it's good that Coinbase got off a bit light, because the actual regulations inside the United Kingdom are that if you are doing something wrong as a crypto company in terms of payments, it's an unlimited fine, and all of your board members will receive unlimited sentencings. That's what the actual regulation is inside the United Kingdom. So Coinbase only having to pay £3.5 million as a fine, they got off very light, which is good to see. It's good to see that the FCA is, being a bit more lenient, being a bit more open, instead of, suing them into the ground like the SEC. By the way, if this happened inside the United States, Gary Gensler would use this against Coinbase all day long. The FCA, not so much. £3.5 million fine, slap on the wrist, good to go. Mega interest rate cuts is the next thing we're going to talk about on tonight's live show. Mega interest rate cuts coming in the US. Expectations soared, and here are the latest forecasts and data is what we're going to go through on tonight's live show. But before we go through that, and we're going on interest rate cuts, let's go inside the comment section first. Okay, I thought they had joined Venezuela, etc. No, in Africa, not yet. They haven't joined them yet. They've applied. Happy Pisces, good to see you. So how you doing? So were they money laundering then, Miles? Yes, by the looks of it. Not Coinbase, but their subsidiary was CBPL. It's good to see, but it sets the wrong procedure. Yes, put this. Yes, it does. Now, mega interest rate cuts. Mega interest rates are coming in the US. Expectations soared. Here are the latest forecasts and data. Investors are increasingly increasing their expectations that the Fed will take a big step in reducing interest rate cuts. Federal funds future markets on essentially Thursday showed that it is roughly 23% chance the Fed will cut its key interest rates by at least 0.5 percentage points by September. According to data from CME Group, the rate indicates a significant increase compared to the rate of 10% of that day, before a 4.1% on a week ago. However, CME Group's FedWatch tools puts the probability of a rate cut in July at 5%, but he almost certainly predicts that a possibility of Fed rate cuts in September following Chairman Jerome Jackson's whole speech in late August. The expectation of a significant rate cut likely stems from Jerome Powell's need to build a broad consensus among policymakers. Dudley, a leading analyst, argues that Jerome Powell is concerned that the last year's pause in progress on inflation could be repeated in the back half of 2024. Interestingly, Fed's officials do not seem particularly bothered by the risk that unemployment rates will soon exceed the SAM rule threshold. SAM rules, developed by economist Claudia, suggest that recession risks depending on the 0.5 percentage point increase in unemployment. So if we do not get interest rates, in any sort of a way, we are good. Look, if we do get cut rates, if we do get interest rate cuts, obviously, look, the market will become volatile. So when we do get interest rate cuts, investors do become a little bit more risky in terms of their assets. So cryptocurrencies on that basis will become volatile. Stocks will do better on that basis. If we don't get rate cuts, we're good on the crypto side because people run towards crypto instead of traditional assets. Now, the next news to talk about tonight's live show is regarding India. So India has decided to essentially come out with their crypto policies by September. Now, the number one country in terms of regulations right now is the United Arab Emirates. They have spearheaded regulations in cryptocurrency policies. Spearheaded, absolutely. In terms of their central banks, in terms of regulations, in terms of innovation, the United Arab Emirates is, number one role right now. Hong Kong is pretty much behind them, so is Singapore, and so is Tokyo. Now, with the MiCA regulations coming out of Europe, they're also behind on that list as well, behind them. India has decided to join the race as well in terms of crypto policies. And they're going to be coming out with crypto policies by September. Before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. It's keep going out. It's buffering a lot in by the end. Stormy, join YouTube. I don't think there's any buffering on YouTube. I think it's just the buffering going on tonight on X. Hello, everyone. Thompson, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? So, India. India is getting ready to roll out a discussion paper on its cryptocurrency policy before September. Economic Affairs Secretary Ajay Seth shared this plan in a recent interview. The purpose is to gather feedback from various stakeholders on how digital assets should be regulated in the country. Seth made it clear that the current regulations focus mainly on anti-money laundering, AML, and counter essentially financial illicit activities. Last year, India extended its AML and CTF standards to include crypto assets and intermediaries. Seth emphasized that this discussion paper wants to explore whether these regulations should be broadened. In his words, in India, cryptocurrencies is being regulated from the perspective of AML and EFT alone. Regulation starts and ends there. It cannot be beyond that. Multiple regulators weigh in. Now, if you're thinking this is only related to India, not related to any other country, you're wrong. Because India is a part of the G20 countries, and G20 countries are all on the same declarations for the same sets of regulations. They said that the way they should be treating cryptocurrencies at the last summit in New Delhi, the last summit of the G20 was in New Delhi, where they signed a regulation that essentially all G20 countries should be on the same sets of rules and regulations for cryptocurrency. The same way planes have the same rules in the sky, cryptocurrency should have the same rules within G20 countries. So they'll have some differences in terms of regulations, but the majority will be the same. Now, an inter-ministerial group, which includes the Reserve Bank of India and the Securities and Exchange Board of India, is working on this paper. The idea is to have more comprehensive policies. SEBI has suggested that multiple regulators should oversee cryptocurrency tradings. However, RBI has been cautious, seeing private cryptocurrencies as a risk to the economy. Seth added that the policy stance is how does one consult relevant stakeholders, so it has to come out in the open and say, here is a discussion paper, these are the issues, and these stakeholders will give their views. G20 guidelines and the outlook. The discussion to create this discussion paper comes after G20 member countries under India's presidency last year endorsed guidelines set by the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the Financial Stability Board, the FSB. The International Monetary Fund and the Financial Stability Board, FSB, Center's paper advised against a blanket ban on crypto activities, noting that such a ban would be hard to enforce. Seth mentioned that proposed discussion papers might consider this international framework. If you recall, the G20 come out with an agreed roadmap that gives a good framework of how each country should assess risk to its own economy and what it sees as a potential use case. India's relationship with cryptocurrency is a bit rocky. In April 2018, the central bank prohibited lenders and other financial intermediaries from dealing with crypto users or exchanges, though the Supreme Court overturned this ban in 2020, where they essentially opened their doors back to cryptocurrencies. So, just to put in perspective, UAE, #1 ranking, United Arab Emirates, #1 ranking in terms of cryptocurrency policies and regulations, and even their central banks. We also had the information and news come out regarding Russia as well, which I revealed a few days ago, where Putin is going to be spearheading essentially their policies, spearheading their CBDC, spearheading their policies, which actually Russia did come out with some regulations, which I revealed yesterday, so in terms of cryptocurrency minings and owning cryptocurrencies. And Hong Kong is also spearheading slightly as well in terms of their regulations, their digital sandbox as well. Singapore is also spearheading. Japan is also spearheading as well. Tokyo wants to become a capital in terms of cryptocurrencies. And now India is also spearheading towards policies, because India is saying we're too focused on anti-money laundering laws and we're not too focused on actual policies we're going to be coming out with. So they're going to be coming out with policies this year by September. A lot of countries are spearheading their policies and regulations, which is good to see, because this is the year of the world shifting into a digital era. This is the year of paperwork, essentially. World shifting into a digital era. Now, the next news to talk about tonight's live show is regarding Philippines. Philippines Central Bank working on CBDCs and prepares to launch digital money by 2029. That is one big lie. Philippines is not going to be launching in 2029. It's not possible. Philippines is going to be launching, I would say, 2026 latest. Mainly because due to the Bank of International Settlements, the documentation is there to prove it. Also because countries do tend to lie. I said this before. In 2023, I shared a lot of information on this live show. And every country in 2023 was coming out and saying essentially that they're going to be coming out with their CBDCs, essentially. Every country in 2023 came out on the news and said, we'll come out with CBDCs by 2035. I said they're lying because the old financial system is so messed up that they need to move quicker. At one point, the Bank of International Settlements actually put quite a lot of pressure on, and the essentially International Monetary Fund, they put pressure on a lot of countries to move quicker on CBDCs. But I said they're lying. And then the news changed. And then they said they're going to be coming out in 2030 on CBDCs. I said they're lying. And then the news changed. And then they said, essentially, I said it's going to happen sooner. And then they said 2029. I said they're lying. 2028, 2027, 2026, 2025. I said, yes, now they're essentially getting closer to the target line. And 2024. So I was pretty much on the money because this year we've had quite a lot of CBDC releases, on test phases, but real payments happening. And next year, we're going to have a lot more countries coming into CBDCs. Remember, they said 2035 is CBDCs. And I said the reason why they're telling people that 2035 is when they're coming up with CBDCs is so people assume they have a lot of time. Because if people think to themselves, oh, we're going to have digital money in 2035, I have a lot of time. You don't have time, is what I said. You don't have time. They're lying to you. So you think to yourself, oh, I have a lot of time to get in crypto. I'll get into crypto later on in life. 2035 is a long time away. I said, no, they're lying. It's much more sooner. And obviously the news changed, and it became 2024. In 2024, we've actually had quite a lot of releases in terms of CBDCs. A lot of countries have released CBDCs on test payments, real transactions on test payments. So, yeah, I was pretty much on the money because I understand corruption, essentially, and manipulation from governments or corporations. I'm from the corporate sector, so I understand quite a lot of their militia, quite a lot of the plays that they do on the retail section. So with the Philippines coming out and saying 2029 is when they're launching, which is absolute BS. They're not going to be launching in 2029 in any sort of way. The latest they'll ever launch is 2026. The International Monetary Fund won't even let them launch by 2029 because the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of International Settlements are spearheading countries to move quicker. There's no chance of the Philippines ever launching in 2029. It's much more sooner than that. So Philippines Central Bank working on CBDCs. The central banks of the Philippines, Bangkok Central, is in the process of developing a wholesale digital bank CBDC. By the way, just to put in perspective how much pressure the International Monetary Fund is putting on these countries, Philippines was one of the countries that said, we don't need CBDCs. CBDCs is not useful. Our people don't need it. Our government doesn't need CBDCs. And then the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of International Settlements flew over to the Philippines, had a conversation with the Philippines. And then after the conversation with the Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund, the Philippines came out on the news and said they're coming out with a CBDC. It's almost like the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of International Settlements pressured them, which is planned to be launched in 2029, which it isn't, much more sooner. This initiative, known as the AGISA project, is now nearing the final stages of the concept trial. The deputy governor of the BSP revealed that this project is an innovative step in the payment system. The same person that said Philippines doesn't need CBDCs. But then after speaking to the International Monetary Fund behind closed doors, all of a sudden, Philippines needs CBDCs. The governor has just started his term of office, and we are almost finalizing the proof of concept stage. This initiative, this innovative payment instrument, said at the press conference reported by the Philippine Star, the Argo project, which began in December 2022 as a CBDC project, aims to respond to increasing global interest in tokenized fiat currencies. The project was rebranded in September 2023 to focus more on simplifying transactions between banks, securities, and across countries. Based on information submitted by the governor of the BSP, in February, the CBDC will operate in the payment systems owned by the bank, not on the public blockchain. And Ramon emphasized that this is a wholesale CBDC, which means it is intended for licensed banks and intermediaries in wholesale transactions, not for retail use. There are two types of CBDCs, wholesale CBDC and retail CBDC. The reason why a lot of countries are going to be releasing wholesale CBDCs first rather than retail CBDCs is because they want to get every company around you to accept CBDCs first. And then they're going to release the retail CBDC. So that means you can spend the CBDC. You see, China was like a test ground for the rest of the world. China introduced retail CBDCs, but China had one problem. Not a lot of people in China, in terms of businesses, accepted CBDCs. So China, retail CBDC came first, and then they started doing wholesale CBDCs and started signing companies back to back to accept the CBDCs they've just released to the people. So the rest of the world said, well, you know what? We're going to do wholesale CBDCs first. So everybody around you accepts CBDCs, and then, essentially the retail CBDC will come. So you can spend the CBDC. But they obviously didn't introduce it like that. Instead, they said, we're going to introduce wholesale CBDCs first, and then work on the privacy issues so the retail CBDC comes out safely, which is a load of BS. It's just they're trying to come out with wholesale CBDCs first, so everybody accepts CBDCs around you, and when they introduce retail CBDCs, you can spend it. The goal is to create a system where CBDCs can compete with cash, added Ramon. BSP also managed to complete the initial pilot phase last July by selecting Hyperledger Fabric as the basic technology for distributed ledgers. Towards the end of the year, BSP plans to release a report containing findings and evaluations of the Argo project sandbox experiment. This report will evaluate the potential of CBDC technology to simplify and automate payment systems through programmable features. In addition, last May, BSP also granted permission for limiting testings of state-backed stablecoins directly tied to the Philippines pesos. The main goal of this one-to-one binding is to ensure a smooth transition between the digital and physical form of Philippines pesos. The project demonstrates BSP's commitment to strengthening the Philippines' financial systems and embracing innovation in the digital era. So, Philippines coming out and saying essentially they're going to be coming out with a CBDC in 2029. No, 2026 is the latest. They have to spearhead, they have to move a lot more quicker. Not because I'm saying it, but because the Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund are the ones putting their foots on the throats of all these governments to move quicker on CBDCs. Because Philippines, Vietnam, and a few other countries said, we don't need CBDCs. Even Colombia said, we don't need CBDCs. Why should we use CBDCs? The International Monetary Fund, the Bank of International Settlements, flew over to all of these countries and had a conversation with them. And after that conversation, every single one of these countries that didn't want CBDCs came out and said, we need CBDCs. We are doing testings right now. Yeah, the International Monetary Fund, the Bank of International Settlements are putting pressure on these countries to come out quicker. Now, the reason why these countries keep on coming out with some random dates and coming out and saying 2029 is when we're coming out is because they want to tell their people that they have a lot of time. When in matter of fact, their people don't have a lot of time. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, your ticket to freedom in a CBDC world is basically cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies has been sold as an idea of an asset or a currency that you should stay away from. Yes, I mean, as I said before, crypto is not all rainbows and sunshines. Just like any other asset, any other market space, there's always scams in any market space. I mean, do you think Wall Street is as clear-cut as it is today? Wall Street was a horrible place to be in the early days. It was just full of scams. But now look at Wall Street now. Still full of scams. Same thing will happen in the crypto space. Scams will always be there. But justifying scams or people that scam in a particular market space, and justifying as the whole market space is a ridiculous point of view to have. Because Wall Street is still full of scams, just like it was in the early days. So your ticket to freedom is actually cryptocurrencies, but your biggest ticket to freedom, either way, you'll still get a CBDC wallet, but at least you have cryptocurrencies. But your biggest ticket to freedom is going to be the asset that's the backbone of CBDCs, which is XRP. Your biggest ticket to freedom will be XRP. Your ticket to freedom will be other cryptocurrencies as well. But if you only have CBDCs, good luck living in a prison. Now, Kamala Harris. Interesting perspective just came out. Ripple's CEO, Brad, has came out and said that people are being too hasty on Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris finds an ally in Ripple's CEO aimed crypto backlash. Ripple's CEO, Brad, essentially has came out and made some interesting statements regarding Kamala Harris. But before I tell you that, let's go to the comment section first. Let's see where we were. We were at, by the way, I read everybody's comments one by one as well. Okay, yeah. Okay, as soon as I get to my next stop, I'll have enough time for search on YouTube. Thanks. No problem, Stormy. Thompson, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? 2026, yep, JP. Facts. Miles, I knew when you paused you were going to say something about that being lies. Lol. Let's go, Shelly. You know me too well. Strange things are happening with XRP, but why? The strange things that are happening with XRP right now is just based on speculation. The closed door meetings that are going on with the SEC, all based on speculations. We don't even know if if XRP or Ripple is even involved in discussions in any sort of a way. So it's just based on speculations on what's going on right now. You said that several times. Yep. Also with XLM. Also with XLM as well. Hello, CMF family. Good to see you, Miles, and all of my CMF friends. It's time to turn on my CMF TV. Let's go, Carl. How you doing? How you been, Carl? Hello, Ian. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing too. They made them an offer they can't refuse. The International Monetary Fund made them an offer they can't refuse. Facts. Which countries are the best to live in this CBDC world in order to use our own crypto assets? Any country. Any country is good to go in a CBDC world because every country will be in CBDCs. Every single person will be on CBDCs. Stacy Days, as soon as I signed on, guess what ad popped up first? Kamala, no. Now, Brad's at the bar with JP, not much settling done, which is a fair point as well, Brad. JP, what happened with the SEC meetings behind closed doors? Do you have the scoop for us, JP? Because JP was in the meetings. If anybody didn't know that, JP was in the meetings as well. He's in the comment section. He was in the Ripple meetings. Now, I think what I was going to say. What I was going to say was, okay, which countries are best to live in this CBDC world in order to use our own crypto assets? Okay, in a CBDC world, every country will be in CBDCs without a doubt. You will still have a CBDC wallet, even if you have cryptocurrencies. But if you have cryptocurrencies, it's a +1 because you can do things that other people can't do in a CBDC world because of your crypto assets. If you have obviously XRP, you're the backbone of the financial system, so you're pretty much good to go. And it's also because of the mass immigration as well that's happening. I told people once a while ago. A lot of people were asking me in terms of also the mass immigration that's going on right now and why no countries are doing anything about it. And a lot of people thought they're doing mass immigration because they want votes for the next presidential candidate, which not so much true. Because they can rig the votes in elections. It's not big. It's not really a big issue. The reason I've said previously as well that they're doing mass immigration, because you can maybe, Americans can justify that point of view and say, well, they're doing mass immigration because they need the votes. But what about the rest of the world? In France, they don't need votes, but they do mass immigration. They do mass immigration in Spain, in Italy, in France, in the UK. We don't need the votes. But the reason why they're doing mass immigration is basically it's because of CBDCs. See, we're going into a digital world, and they want everyone in a digital world to have a CBDC wallet. In a digital world, everybody has to have a CBDC wallet. And the reason why they do mass immigration is because we're going to get CBDC wallets and social credit systems. And if everybody is in countries that are going to be implementing CBDCs, CBDC wallets and social credit systems, then everybody gets one. It's very simple. That's the reason why they do mass immigration. That's the reason why governments don't care if these immigrants are coming to any of these countries and essentially bombarded them or taking jobs or doing whatever people would assume and so on. That's why the mass immigration is also happening as well, because CBDC wallets and social credit systems are headed your way, and that's the reason why they do mass immigration, because it's easier to implement it on these people in countries that are going to be implementing it, because in their own countries it's quite harder to implement CBDC wallets and social credit systems. But once they come to these countries that's going to implement it for everyone, they're going to be implemented for them as well. So they're not doing mass immigration because of votes in any sort of a way. It's because of CBDC wallets that are coming for everyone and social credit systems. That's the reason why they do mass immigration. That's why no government cares about mass immigration. Everybody complains, why is there mass immigration in France? Why is there mass immigration in Italy? Why is there mass immigration in the UK? Why does the government not care? Because they don't. It's because CBDCs, wallets, and social credit systems that are, by the way, designed by the Bill Gates Melinda Foundation that was announced in the World Economic Forum in 2024 at the beginning of this year. But every country is going to have CBDCs. Every country is going to have CBDCs, social credit systems. Everyone's going to have a CBDC wallet. But if you have cryptocurrencies, you could do things that people can't do. So in terms of which country is the best, any country is good to go. Let's see where we were inside the comment section as well. We were at... What is your opinion about USA political situation? What is my opinion about the USA political situation right now? Okay. I said something inside the Telegram group of this live show yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So yesterday, I was having a conversation inside a Telegram group with the CMF members. And we were talking about something else. And then I said, off topic, I think that, by the way, this is not who I would vote for, but I'm not a US citizen in any sort of a way, but it's not who I would vote for. This is just what I feel as what's in line to happen. I said inside the CMF Telegram group yesterday that I think that Kamala Harris is chosen for the next person to become president. I said I think. And again, it's not a person I would vote for in any sort of a way at all. But I said I think she is chosen by essentially, the World Economic Forum members, by the corporations out there and so on, by the Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, because we're going into this digital world. And I said the reason why I believe is because Trump is, a bit unpredictable. I said Trump is a bit unpredictable, and it looks like Trump might be listening to them now, and he might come out with CBDCs and so on, because America needs to have CBDCs as well, just like the rest of the world. The US needs to have CBDCs as well, so they can't have somebody in control like Trump who says no to CBDCs. So that's why they're trying so hard to take him. Take him. So that's why they're trying so hard in the United States to do that. And I said, I believe that Kamala Harris is chosen because she's a good listener, because that's what you need as a president for the people that are running the show. You need a good listener, not somebody who has brain cells, somebody who wants to fix an economy, somebody who wants to implement policies. No, that's not what a president should be in reality for these types of people. For us, yes, we want somebody as a president who, fixes the economy, who lowers the interest rates, who essentially saves the economy is what we need as citizens. In reality, what we get is a buffoon who essentially gets paid by sponsors and donors and listens to their sponsors and donors and essentially implements whatever regulations they want, not what we want. So Kamala Harris is a good listener to BlackRock, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, World Economic Forum, to a lot of people, Bank of International Settlements, the FSB, the IMF. So to a lot of people, she's a good listener. Trump, unpredictable. So I said, I believe she's chosen, and so on. Now, what I said yesterday has had an interesting outcome, because today, so I said this yesterday inside a Telegram group, and it was just something that just came about, and I thought to myself, I think she is chosen. She's chosen, not by the people, she's chosen. And then today the news comes out that Ripple's CEO, Brad, has essentially came out and said, let's not be hasty on Kamala Harris. Brad, Ripple's CEO, knowing fully well that Trump is pro-crypto. Trump is pro-crypto, pro-blockchain, and so on. And also knowing fully well that Kamala Harris is not attending the Bitcoin conference, showing her, adoption for cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, or for Bitcoin in this instance. And on the same day today, Brad has came out and said, let's not be hasty. Let's hear Kamala Harris out. And in Brad's words, she's, pro-crypto. CBDC. And I said this yesterday, interesting enough. I said this yesterday. And Brad comes out today tweeting out, let's not be hasty. Let's, hear her out. Let's hear Kamala Harris out, and so on. Now, so on the topic of what is your opinion about the US political situation? Rigged, extremely rigged. And it's going towards CBDCs, just like the rest of the world. Stacey is still around, I think. Yep. Thank you for that. Let me know, Shelly. Thank you for letting me know. And I'll tell you what Brad said. But before I do that, let's go inside the comment section first. XRP equals Banker's Coin. Yes. XLM also slightly Banker's Coin as well. Jesus is coming soon. Repent from the sin and believe he died for your sins and rose to make you right from the God. All who come upon the name of the Lord Jesus will be saved. God bless. Let's go. Jesus the Lord. Which CBDC wallet is the best? Which CBDC wallet is the best? It's going to probably be Ripple CBDC wallet. But it's going to be one that the central bank, based on any jurisdiction you're in, gives out. Crypto will be illegal when CBDCs is here. The only way out is to believe in Jesus and obey his words. God has a better plan for those who are willing to choose it. Crypto will be illegal when CBDCs come out. I've said this before as well. We're on the same page, Jesus is Lord. We're on the same page, actually. Sorry, I signed an NDA. JP, regarding the meeting. The people who choose Trump, the people will obviously choose Trump. Definitely. Stacey, the people will always choose Trump. People are tired of wokeness. A vote for Kamala says you want the same thing as last 4 years, which is basically what it is. It's also what I said as well. People are saying, so the reason why some people are against Trump, a lot of people are against Trump, let's say, but the reason why some people are against Trump is because their feelings are hurt. The people that are against Trump is because their feelings are hurt. But as if that matters is what I would say. Look, you've got to understand that, for the people that their feelings are hurt because of Trump, you've got to understand feelings don't pay for mortgages. Feelings don't pay for loans. Feelings don't pay for car payments. Feelings don't pay for rent. And feelings don't pay for groceries. Feelings don't pay for gas or electrics. Feelings don't pay for vacations. Feelings don't feed the homeless. Feelings don't pay for anything. Money does. So, for the people that are saying my feelings are basically hurt from Trump because they believe some ideologies that Trump is a racist, or Trump is this type of person, or Trump is that type of person, all of it is not true in any sort of a way. And your feelings are hurt by misinformation from the news. But you've got to remember, if you're not choosing Trump, mostly because your feelings are hurt, who cares? Simple, honestly. Feelings don't pay for mortgages or loans or car payments or gas or groceries or anything. Money does. So, would you rather vote for someone that's going to fix the economy so you can make money that pays for mortgages, for rent, for groceries, for gas, for electrics, for your car payments, or to feed the homeless, depending on what you want to do with your money? So, you can vote for someone that, is helping you with your feelings, as if that matters. Or you can vote for someone that's going to make you money. That's basically what it comes down to. Honestly, a lot of people aren't going to be voting for Trump because their feelings are hurt. But feelings don't pay for S. Feelings don't pay for SHIT. They don't pay for SHIT. Money does. But again, it's completely rigged anyways. Kamala Harris. That was just a little speech for anybody that isn't voting for Trump any sort of. But again, that doesn't matter because Kamala Harris is chosen and the election is completely rigged. But next time in life, if you want to make a choice, just next time, remember this. If you want to make a choice in life, don't choose somebody because they're very kind to your. In terms of somebody that's going to be, in terms of politics and so on, don't choose somebody because they're going to be kind to your feelings. Feelings don't mean S. Absolutely nothing. Choose somebody that's going to make you money. If you're going to go in a relationship with someone, yes, choose someone who's kind to you. But if you're going to get a job, work for somebody that's going to make you money. Very simple. Okay? If you're going to go into a relationship, yeah, sure, choose somebody that's kind to you. That's when your feelings matters. But if you're going to go for a job, go and work for someone that's going to make you money, not somebody that cares about your feelings. It's very simple. But in this case, the election is obviously rigged anyways. Kamala Harris is going to be chosen for some orderly reason. She's chosen because she listens. But yeah, that's a little speech for people that their feelings are hurt. Doesn't mean S. Because I've seen so many comments, people commenting Trump's inconsiderate, as if that matters. Honestly, it's like they're trying to go on a date with Trump. You're voting the guy to make you money. You're not going on a date with him. The people who choose Trump, yeah, which they do, yeah. People are tired of wokeness. A vote for Kamala says you want the same thing for the last 4 years, basically. Honestly, the people that are right now coming out and saying, oh, we're voting for Kamala Harris. I've seen so many people come out and say, oh, we're voting for Kamala Harris. I've never voted before, but I'm voting for Kamala Harris. For 4 years, you couldn't afford gas, groceries, buy a house, pay your rent, pay your mortgages. For 4 years, you couldn't do any of those things because you voted for Biden. And you said to yourself, I want to experience that again for another 4 years. Let me vote for Kamala Harris. What absolute morons. But again, it's rigged anyway, so. But, just to see people's perspectives. Honestly, for 4 years, people struggled. For 4 years, people struggled. And they said to themselves, I want to experience that again. Let me vote for Kamala Harris. What? What do you think about fact Emirates? Because their feelings are hurt about Trump. It's just ridiculous. What do you think about the fact Emirates wants to live American friends to now be friends with Russia? Yes, I've heard. United Arab Emirates, all the Saudi Arabias want to become friends with Russia and leave America. Big mistake. For the countries that are thinking about leaving the United States and joining forces with Russia and so on, big mistake. Especially for countries like the United Arab Emirates. This Dubai that everybody speaks about, Dubai is an amazing place, which it is. Dubai is an amazing, beautiful place, amazing culture, amazing people, and so on. Nothing against that. But the way Dubai was built was by oil companies and private companies in the United States. Dubai was basically, essentially the United Arab Emirates was just nothing, just absolutely nothing. The oil companies from the United States made the United Arab Emirates, or Dubai. It's the American companies that made that country. So for them to be turning their back on the country that made their entire country is a risky movement. Very risky movement. So for any countries in the Middle East that are thinking about leaving the US to go and join forces with Russia and China, especially if their entire country was built from the ground up by US companies, risky movement. You're risking the entire country on being friends with the enemy in the United States' eyes. And again, I have nothing against Russia, nothing against China, nothing against the US. I'm neutral. I'm very neutral. But I understand if you turn your back against somebody that built your entire country, things can end bad. That's just common sense. But the issue is some people think they're too wealthy. Some people think they're too wealthy or their country's too wealthy and they can't be touched. But if they just look at history, there was a lot of wealthy people in history that ruled over countries and then they turned their back. And where are those countries now? Just say, I'm very neutral. Nothing against the US, nothing against Russia, nothing against China. I'm very neutral. But I understand that you shouldn't turn your back on countries or companies that built your entire country from the ground up. Or bootlicker, same thing regarding Kamala Harris. Yep. I agree, Miles. I hate to say it, but I think she's going to get up. I'm afraid. I hope not, but I'm concerned. I mean, it would be good for XRP. She's CBDC Pro. Don't you think the Democrats should be more crypto-friendly to get the crypto voters? Yes, but they're more CBDC friendly is what's going on right now. I was surprised by Brad's comments, to be honest. Same. Very same, which I'm going to reveal to everybody what Brad said as well. Which confirmed Brad's comments confirmed, the whole rigged situation as well. So yes, sorry guys. JP, perhaps clarify for the family, crypto will be illegal to buy once CBDC is implemented. But if you already own, now you're okay. Yes, which is true. Yes, regarding what Happy Pies said. So in a CBDC world, if you have cryptocurrencies, you're perfectly fine. In a CBDC world, it's very heavy control. The heavy control, we've seen it happen in China, which is going to be implemented the rest of the world as well. I said this a very long time ago. I said, if you want to look at the outcome of your own country, just look at China. Easily will tell you what's going to happen in your country. And I said this back in 2023 when China was the only one with CBDCs implemented. And I said to everybody, if you want to know where your country is headed, just look at China in terms of CBDCs and social credit systems and so on. Controllable assets, controllable CBDCs, programmable CBDCs, and so on. And after saying that, we had a few other countries coming out, Brazil coming out saying we're doing CBDCs, India's doing CBDCs, Iran's doing CBDCs, Russia's doing CBDCs, Hong Kong is doing CBDCs, Tokyo, so on and so on. And then I also, regarding what I said, just look at China and you know where your own country is headed. China was introducing programmable CBDCs where they can freeze and seize your assets and also put expiry dates on them, which is the next upgrade that's coming to the Chinese CBDC. And I said all of this before anybody else had a CBDC except China. Brazil's CBDC comes out and it was decoded by developers. And once it was decoded, they realized there's code within the program that's programming CBDCs to be seized and essentially to be seized, and some other methods they're using. So basically, whatever China's implemented a while ago is what's being implemented for the rest of the world as well. So we are headed towards a very controllable world and so on. So in a controllable world and so on, how you can get around things is by having cryptocurrencies. Governments are telling people, stay away from cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are bad. Stay away from them. Stay away from them. Stay away from them. And the reason why they're doing that is because the more people they have staying away from cryptocurrencies is the more people they have on CBDCs, just CBDCs. Let me clarify that. Everybody, even if you have cryptocurrencies, everybody will get a CBDC wallet, even if you have cryptocurrencies. However, if you have cryptocurrencies and when they tell you to do something, you can say, no, thank you, because I have Bitcoin. No, thank you, because I have Ethereum or Cardano or XRP or XLM or XDC or HBAR or whatever you have, Chainlink, for example. You have other assets to mess around with, to play around with, and actually survive in a digital world. The people that are only on CBDCs, they're pretty much done for. Their entire life's finished. They can program CBDC so it works in proximity. So the ideology of this whole 15-minute city they're implementing, so you can just use essentially they'll restrict your access to CBDCs within your own radius. So your CBDC wouldn't work 5 kilometers away from your home. So this whole COVID period that they did was just a test run. They actually mentioned that inside the World Economic Forum as well, that COVID was a test run. Digital passports and COVID was also a test run as well. If anybody watched the World Economic Forum, they'll realize these things in 2024. At the beginning of 2024, they did a World Economic Forum event. They talked about all these things. So regarding the CBDC, radiuses and so on, COVID was just basically a test run. So was digital passports. They were trying to see how lenient people are. Are people going to listen, or people are going to go against the system? The majority listened, and basically showed, that some people were pressured due to work as well to listen to essentially COVID rules and regulations because of work, and some people just didn't. I don't listen. There's no way I'm going to be getting some random injection because the government cares all of a sudden. The government doesn't care if I drop dead right now. I'm being very honest. They don't care if I drop down right now, but suddenly they started caring, and I had to get a vaccination. Yeah, I'm going to believe that. But so on that basis, regarding CBDCs, if we go into a digital world, you can't use your CBDCs on any exchange to buy cryptocurrencies, just to put it out there as well. No crypto exchange was going to accept, or DeFi space is going to accept your CBDCs for you to buy cryptocurrencies with in any sort of a way, because CBDCs are programmable money, which could be seized, freezed, and put expiry dates on. So imagine Binance Exchange selling you Bitcoin and accepting your seizable, freezable, and expiry date money. They're not morons. Binance is never going to accept that. Neither is any other exchange. Now, there are two types of currencies coming out of every jurisdiction. One is a stable coin, and one is a CBDC. The CBDC is very programmable. The stable coin that's coming out of governments, that can be used on exchanges. That's no problem. It's a stable coin. Stable coins can be used. And I said this before as well. I said before any government came out with stable coin and a CBDC, basically, except China had a CBDC, I said to everyone, governments will be coming out with a CBDC and a stable coin. Stable coins are for the market, CBDCs are for control. And then, what do you know? Every single country starts announcing, we're coming out with a stable coin and a CBDC. Yes, because one's for the control, one's for the markets. Because, Binance, Coinbase, and all these exchanges will accept your stable coins to buy Bitcoin and so on. That's only if you have stable coins at that moment in time, not just CBDCs. But yeah, no exchange will accept your CBDCs. So it's either you get in right now, or, you're finished, you're done for. So cryptocurrencies are not against you. It's your ticket to freedom. It's just your ticket to freedom. All these are factual information that you can check. World Economic Forum, you can go and read it. Bank of International Settlements. There are many study papers in the Bank of International Settlements. The banks of all central banks, 63 centralized banks around the world are under the Bank of International Settlements. You can see their study test papers, or even go to the Bank of England. If you're inside the United Kingdom, go to the Bank of England, type in CBDC in the search box from the Bank of England. Go to any centralized bank's website and type in their search box as CBDC. You'll see all their study test papers coming out. All PDF documentations, all factual information. But obviously, they're not going to tell you to do that and go on their own websites and type in PDF, essentially CBDCs and PDF documentation. Why would governments do that? They're not going to create adverts for you to go and read about CBDCs on the Bank of England website. But you can't do that. It's there. The information is there. It's just people don't read it. Now, so yeah, in a CBDC world, yeah, cryptocurrencies won't be able to be used in any sort of way. I vote for myself is what Misha said. I said the Telegram a few days ago. She is the one. JP. Hello, Miles and CMF. Miles, how is your family? How's your business? Scott, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing, Scott? How you been? How's things? Misha said I vote for myself. Here also, let's go, Trisha. I want to work with you, Miles. Let's go, Denise. I think Brad has said that about Kamala because he's so strategic. He's giving her a chance with a slight pressure to prove herself while campaigning to see her knowledge level on crypto. And he is going to be the face of CBDCs worldwide in the future and want people to look back and see how fair and intelligent he was, which is also a point as well. Miles thinks she's chosen because there is no one else, pretty much. Miles, let's go, Carol. But I agree with Happy Pisces as well. I had that perspective as well. I agree. Bro, I will drag my... What? Postal, this is not where you put a comment like that. Even if Kamala ruins the whole narrative on crypto, he will look like he was the hero and she could have used him for knowledge, which is also a good perspective to have, honestly. It's also a perspective that I did have, one of the perspectives that I did have. The election is rigged, but it's not that rigged, hence the pew-pew. Yeah. I agree with that point as well. But they would try, hence the pew-pew part, they would try anything to get what they want, is what I was trying to say. They would try anything. If the pew-pew didn't work and nothing else works, they will try something else. And last result will just be to rig the entire thing. Because if you think they're going to give up, there's no chance in hell. Not saying you're thinking that, but if people think they're going to give up, there's no chance in hell. The last result will just be to rig the entire thing. Kamala has the same views as Sleepy Joe, pretty much. When XRP's news, brother? Towards the end, which is after this one. Miles, when XRP hits 50 euros and you want to move to Dubai, is it true you can go to Dubai, rent a property, buy a car, and fly over your family directly via your XRP, right? You can do that, yes, if you wanted to. Use an Uphold bank card. If you are not in crypto, but you are rich, how will CBDCs affect you? If you are not in crypto, but you are rich, how will CBDCs affect you? You'll still get a CBDC wallet, even if you're a wealthy person. You could be rich and not part of the circle. Part of the circle is World Economic Forum. So you can be rich and not be part of that circle. And you'll still get CBDC wallet. And it will affect you as well. But if you are wealthy, then you have other assets in place, like gold and precious metals, which you can use as leverage to buy cryptocurrencies with. Because people will accept your gold for, Bitcoin or Ethereum and so on. So, depending on your status, you can leverage your status to buy cryptocurrencies later on, if you wanted to. Which best stable coin we should have in our wallet? If they go to a shop, they're going to get CBDCs. But if they're wealthy enough to have connections, they can go to the right people and sell it for Bitcoin. Which best stable coin we should have in our wallets? Stable coin? Ripple's new stable coin coming out will be the best one. Honestly. There's no other stable coin that I would rather use than Ripple's stable coin. Because USDC just sucks. I'll be honest. USDC has depegged once, and that's more than once I need to know about. Okay, USDC depegged once, and it took them a matter of 2 weeks to essentially repeg properly, which is not good in any sort of a way. USDT, there is no transparency. I don't even know what's backing it. Nobody knows what's backing it. It's just USDT and Tether's words. So USDC depegged once. That's more than enough for me to stay away from USDC. USDT has major transparency issues. So we do need another stablecoin in this field, and it's going to be Ripple stablecoin, without a doubt. Hate it or love it, Ripple stablecoin, you know it's going to be a stablecoin you can trust. They're going to show full transparency every month. You know for a fact Ripple has the money to back their stablecoin as well. So that's definitely going to be the number one stablecoin that I'm going to be keeping inside my wallets. For the time being, I'm using USDT, the one that doesn't show transparency. But because USDC has depegged once, that's more than enough for me to stay away from it. USDT for the time being. But Ripple stablecoin comes out, I'm going straight to Ripple stablecoin. I'm never going back to USDT or USDC. Which stablecoin? Yeah. Okay, if I have a house and rent it out, what will be the payment money received? If you have a house and you rent it out, I'm guessing in a digital world, is what your question is based on. What payment money would you receive? Well, that would depend on your tenants. If your tenants, if you're outside the United Kingdom, by tenants, I mean the people that are going to be renting your property. So that would depend on your tenants. If your tenants are going to be paying with CBDCs and you would accept CBDCs, or if your tenants have cryptocurrencies to pay you in cryptocurrencies with, most likely you're going to get someone that has CBDCs rather than cryptocurrencies to pay for rent. So you can put your property up for cryptocurrencies. Not sure if you're going to get cryptocurrency clients. If you put your property up for sale, if you want to put your property up for sale, then people could buy your property with cryptocurrencies. But for rent, you're most likely going to get paid in CBDCs, even if you put it up for cryptocurrencies. I'm investing in Miles. Let's go. Opinions on DGB and ZIL. ZIL is good. DGB, I would have to see what their recent developments are. So if I understand, we keep our crypto wallets and refuse to get them from the government, any CBDC wallets. No, you're going to get CBDC wallets, okay? Everybody gets CBDC wallets. Even if you have 1 million worth of Bitcoin, you're still going to get a CBDC wallet from your government. Everybody on this planet will get a CBDC wallet. If you have crypto, don't have crypto, if you're a millionaire, if you're a billionaire, it doesn't matter who you are. Every single person will get a CBDC wallet. What makes you different from the rest is if you have crypto assets, which means you can refuse to listen when you want to, because you have cryptocurrencies and not just CBDCs. If you can't buy crypto anymore, this would mean the end for exchanges. No, you can still buy. That's why there are stable coins coming out of governments and also CBDCs. There's two coming out. Stable coins for the market, CBDCs for control. Do you think Trump assassination was inside job? Yes, definitely. Hi, Miles. Have you received your Ledger stacks yet? I haven't received my Ledger stacks yet. I'm on batch 3 for the Ledger stacks. What we have to do with our money from our bank accounts, do we have to transfer our funds to crypto wallets and convert them into our crypto cold wallets? If you want to, any money that you have in bank accounts will be turned instant to CBDCs when the time comes, on a one-to-one ratio basis. When Ripple stablecoin will appear to buy them, and which platform we will get them potentially? Every platform will feature Ripple stablecoin instantly at the same time, maybe a few days apart, but time-wise is this year. Miles, are we going to continue to see this frequent volatility in the market for a little while yet, like up until the election? Possibly, yes. Up until the election, yes. That's why I said some as well yesterday on the messages. Yes. Now, here is Kamala Harris and regarding Ripple CEO's Brad perspective. And again, going back to what I said essentially of, I'm a neutral party, but the whole thing being rigged, Kamala might be the chosen one. Trump is obviously the better choice, without a doubt. He's always the better choice. But he's not a good listener, and the World Economic Forum wants somebody that listens. So, and I said this yesterday on the message in Telegram, and today this comes out. Ripple CEO Brad wants United States Vice President Kamala Harris to be straightforward on crypto regulations. His comments follow a growing discussion concerning the administration's digital currency policy and the VP's withdrawal from Bitcoin Conference 2024. Many crypto market fans hoped Kamala Harris will be attending the meeting, the Bitcoin conference that's going on today in Nashville. They thought it showed her softening on digital currencies. David Bailey, the CEO of the world's biggest Bitcoin conference, disclosed that Kamala Harris has decided not to speak at the event. Kamala Harris under the lens. In assessing the presidential candidates, Brad has advocated a break from political bias. His comment followed the observations of Policy Director Justin Slaughter of Paragon on the possible influence of US Vice President Kamala Harris should she run for president, arguing that the tribalism of political prejudices of hampered the growth of crypto sector. Brad supports a focus on policy ideas instead of political ties. The remarks of Brad capture the increasing attitude of crypto leaders who believe that the political forces have dominated, importantly, policy debates. He said, we have to evaluate candidates based on their policy pledges rather than only their party lines. This point of view underscores the continuous discussions within the sector of how to negotiate the difficult political terrain that has been of the late become more intertwined with cryptocurrencies. The potential impact of Harris, a two-edged sword. Slaughter's most recent X post attracted notice for the major changes Kamala Harris would bring about should she be elected president. Slaughter claims that Kamala Harris, is ready to completely replace important national security positions, maybe firing President Biden's political advisors. This suggested reformat has sparked questions over how it would affect US policies on important matters, including regulation on Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. Brad's reply to Slaughter's evaluation exposes both hope and caution. Though he is concerned about Harris's inclination towards a disclosure like the anti-crypto Senator Elizabeth Warren, he also notes that Kamala Harris' broad understanding of Silicon Valley. This understanding could help to solve the legal obstacles the crypto sector encounters, Brad said. Voters on cryptocurrencies, a changing tide. Interestingly, many crypto advocates have turned to the Republican nominee Donald Trump as president. Headed by the SEC, so Joe Biden's government, headed by the SEC chairman Gary Gensler, comes under fire for strict enforcement policies. Voters who feel excluded by present rules have found reassurance in Trump's pledges of favorable measures for the crypto industry. The effect on crypto voters is yet unknown. As Harris essentially develops, the industry is totally focused on any legislative changes that would either encourage or discourage innovation. Meanwhile, billionaire Mark Cuban thought Kamala Harris may take a more business-friendly approach to Bitcoin and AI. Although not verified, Kamala Harris advisors say she may be more sympathetic to these enterprises than her prior policies. All things considered, Brad's support of policy-oriented approach mirrors a larger movement among the crypto community for more complex political assessments. The argument on how best to help the sector among changing political environments develops as the US presidential election draws near. Now, also, the next news we're going to go for on tonight's live show is regarding XRP ETFs expected as Ripple partner SBI Holdings enters US ETF market space. But before we go through that news, regarding this whole Kamala Harris situation and Brad, yeah, this election is going to be very rigged. Kamala Harris is chosen because she's a good listener and Trump is unpredictable for the World Economic Forum. The world needs to shift into a digital era. The world needs to go towards CBDCs and social credit systems. That's where the world is headed right now, towards CBDCs and social credit systems. Trump will go against CBDCs. He will go against social credit systems. Kamala Harris is just a good listener. That's pretty much what it is. You know, the World Economic Forum will tell Kamala Harris to go towards CBDCs and she will say, yes, sir, pretty much. They will tell Trump to go towards CBDCs and Trump will tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine, basically. So Trump will stand in front of these people, unless Trump, will work alongside these people. But it's still a bit too unpredictable for these people, for the World Economic Forum, for the International Monetary Fund, for the FSB, and so on. He's a little bit unpredictable for them. But Kamala Harris is just a good listener. She will listen. That's what a good president does for those people. As I said previously, for us, we need a president or a prime minister that will get the job done, that will fix the economy and help the people. In reality, that's what we all need. So somebody like Trump. But in the world that we live in, the prime minister that is chosen or the president that's chosen is just a big buffoon who gets told what to say by the sponsors and donors or the World Economic Forum in this case. And Kamala Harris is a good listener. The World Economic Forum tells Kamala Harris to do something, she will say, yes, sir. They tell Trump to do the same thing, Trump will tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine. That's not good for them because they want everybody on CBDCs and social credit systems. So Kamala Harris is basically chosen by the people that run the show. And the last result will just be rigged election, pretty much. Because if they can't remove the other person, last result will just be rigged election. She's just chosen because she's a good listener. Everybody who's also voting for Kamala Harris, they're voting because she's a strong, independent woman. Look, there are incredible, strong, independent women CEOs out there that I would vote for any day of the week. There are strong, independent women, CEOs and directors out there that I would vote for them any day of the week because they're intelligent. They're actually intelligent. They understand economics. They understand how to run a business. And I would actually vote for them. But Kamala Harris is not a strong, independent woman. She's just a good listener. And that's what they need. They need a good listener. They don't need a thinker. No. A president that thinks by himself and acts is bad for them. A president that listens is what they need. Because honestly, when I see these comments, oh, I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she's a strong, independent woman and she's smart and intelligent. She's not any of those things. She's just a good listener. There are incredible, smart, intelligent, independent women out there that are amazing CEOs and executive board members. And I would vote for them for any day of the week. I'd vote for all of them. But don't give me these speeches, people commenting, essentially, oh, Kamala Harris is strong, intelligent, as a member of the Fox News or CNBC News member put it, she's the original Hawk Tuah girl. So don't come, people commenting, essentially, I've seen so many comments, people comment, oh, she's strong, intelligent. She's the original Hawk Tuah girl. She climbed her way to the top, not by her intelligence, but by on her knees. So this comment of, she's, as I said as well, there are so many strong, intelligent women out there that would vote for them any day of the week. I know so many CEOs and directors that are incredibly intelligent. I would vote for any single one of those women, for to become president or prime minister, I would vote for them. But not for Kamala Harris. She's a good listener. That's what she is. And that's what they need. And just the whole thing is just rigged. And the Hawk Tuah situation was a CNBC news anchor or Fox News anchor. Has anybody seen the video? The CNBC news anchor or the Fox News anchor was giving a speech about Kamala Harris, and essentially he said that she's the original Hawk Tuah girl. And then the other news anchor said, well, that's a bit harsh, but he was telling a bit of the truth. Okay. Hi, Miles. Did you receive Legend 6? No. Where still comes out? I think we were here. Yeah. I feel USDT has to be taken down before XRP stablecoin. is full force to much risk to upset the entire new infrastructure and confidence in it. Happy Pisces, we're on the same page. We're definitely on the same page. I think it's going to work alongside it and then phase it out is what's going to basically happen. But when they convert our cash in our bank to CBDC, we can't put it out on our cold while it can be, unless we buy stable coins, or will they stop CBDCs you from purchasing any cryptos? I mean, it will stop you with CBDCs. They won't accept it. Any exchange won't accept it at all. She's a puppet on string miles, basically on strings. Do you see Gary making a donation to Kamala's campaign? Maybe to keep his job? Will Trump win 100%? People's votes, yes. Will Trump win 100%? People will definitely vote. She's a good listener because she has nothing good to say. I think it's not a coincidence that they sue Trump and they place women president and they can take majority of women voters. Yeah. Yes, she's the original. The modern Democrats are globalist. Trump is not. Pretty much. Lol is what Pablo said and Shelly said how. Yeah, and now the other news on tonight's live show is regarding XRP ETF because of SBI Holdings. So SBI Holdings, massive corporation. They're going to be entering the US ETF space. Now they're going to be entering with Bitcoin ETFs first, but SBI Holdings has also a subsidiary by the name of Ripple SBI. And this is what they're going to be doing. So XRP ETF expected as Ripple partner SBI Holdings enters US ETF market space. Now, the timing is what's interesting about this with SBI Holdings. The timing is incredibly interesting because the Ripple case is obviously coming to an end. A perspective from Brad and a perspective from a former SEC lawyer. And now we have SBI Holdings, a company that also has a subsidiary called SBI Ripple, entering the US ETF market space. SBI Holdings plans to enter the US ETF market, sparking speculation of an XRP ETF due to its strong partnership with Ripple and digital asset focus. Ripple partner SBI Holdings is making headlines as it prepares to enter the ETF market space. This move has led to speculations about a potential XRP ETF, given SBI's strong partnership and association with Ripple, a company that holds the largest share of XRP. It's true, SBI Holdings holds quite a lot of XRP. For instance, on July 1st, SBI Holdings began minting NFTs for their upcoming 2025 World Expo in Osaka, Japan. SBI leaders have coincidentally endorsed XRP so many times. The new company from SBI Holdings and Franklin Templeton expected to form by the end of the year will focus on crypto assets, reports suggest. Notably, SBI will hold 51% of the company, while Franklin Templeton will hold 49%. Launching XRP ETFs makes sense. In June, Ripple's president, Monica Long, had agreed that launching an XRP spot Ethereum ETF, XRP spot ETF in the US markets makes sense. She highlighted that XRP, coincidentally among the top 10 cryptocurrencies, meets key criteria for such an investment product. However, Nate Garcia, the president of the ETF store, suggested that the market is not ready for an XRP spot ETF. He noted that an XRP futures ETF must precede a spot ETF, emphasizing the need for regulated trading history. Industry opinions on XRP. These are industry opinions now. Recall. Chairman and CEO of SBI Holdings had shared his optimistic views on XRP's future, expressing confidence that XRP would benefit significantly if Ripple ultimately wins its ongoing legal battle with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. On his hands, crypto experts, the Barbell Bulls, predict that XRP will hit a new all-time highs this cycle. He asserts that zero chance XRP won't go to all-time new highs. According to him, XRP's price has often depended on Bitcoin's rise. With the approval of BTC ETFs and the new records values, he expects XRP ETFs in 2025. The Bearable Bulls identifies several bullish catalysts for XRP. This includes its relisting on all exchanges, the launch of AMMs, the Zaza sidechain, Ripple stablecoin, and the Metico custody solution. He also mentions a potential Ripple IPO. Increased political focus on crypto and expected regulatory clarity. Additionally, Ripple's legal case is likely to conclude this summer. So essentially, Ripple's partner, SBI Holdings, entering the US market space, partnering with Franklin Templeton, which is a big corporation as well, partnering with them, owning 51% of the business, while Franklin Templeton owns 49% of the business. They might be getting ready, essentially, they might be getting ready for an XRP ETF coming soon, because this case is going to come to an end this year. The timing of SBI Holdings entering the US for ETF market space, SBI Holdings holds a lot of XRP. Also, they have Ripple SBI as well as a subsidiary. So everything is positioning itself, is what I would say, for an XRP ETF next. A lot of things are coming, which is major news on that basis. You know, SBI Holdings entering the US market space from Japan. Major news on that basis. Also partnering with Franklin Templeton. As much as it distract Kamala, maybe be a better long-term, people will cry for Trump because he was against CBDCs, and Kamala will look like the bad one who sold out the US, which is true as well. Good point on Happy Pisces as well. Miles, that girl is actually in my relation, you know, be kind, lol. Let's go, Shelly. Sorry. Kamala, not Camelot. Yeah. Jim W, hi. How you doing, Jim? How you been? Why is market dropping? It's dropping slightly based on the speculations that didn't weigh out. They will make vote for Kamala and fool this community again. You don't vote for someone in regards to their color of their skin or competences and capacities to be a good problem solver. They push people to vote for emotions or feelings and not by using their brains, which is a fair point. They do push people to vote with emotions, and that's the last thing you should do. Never use emotions when you're trying to make a life decision. Never use emotions, never vote, never make life-changing decisions, genuinely. Never make life-changing decisions based on anger or based on any other emotion. I genuinely just don't make any decisions based on emotions at all. I'm like a robot. At all. I always try to calm myself down first before I make a decision, because I know if I make a decision on anger, it's going to end bad, especially a business decision. It's going to end bad, very bad. It always backfires when I make decisions on anger. So a very long time ago, I stopped and I realized, calm myself down and then make a decision. And I realized that a very long time ago when I was making quite a few bad decisions during my previous business startups, that you shouldn't make decisions based on any sort of emotions, especially on anger, because you always make the wrong decisions. But yeah, it's true. You should never make any sort of life-changing decisions either. They push people to vote for emotions, basically, but this. Just joking, my Aussie humor. Let's go, Shelly. When ETH gonna pump for ETF? Okay, regarding ETH ETFs, why is Ethereum not pumping? We have Ethereum ETFs, but Ethereum is not pumping. What's going on? It's something that I explained as well a week ago. So, sorry, a week ago I revealed the news that Grayscale, the downfall of the Bitcoin ETFs right at the beginning, might play the exact same thing. And I said history might repeat itself, with Grayscale being the downfall again. So Grayscale is offering a 2.5% fee on Ethereum ETFs, which nobody wants. So everybody's selling through Grayscale again. The same thing that happened with Bitcoin ETFs. Everybody was selling through Bitcoin ETF at the beginning when Bitcoin ETFs launched. Grayscale was the reason that the market went, basically, because Grayscale was offering a 2.5%, a ridiculous fee rate for their Bitcoin ETFs. So people who locked their Bitcoins with Grayscale, the locks came off because it was going to be turned into an ETF, and they decided to sell. That's why the market on Bitcoin ETF news went instead of going up, because Grayscale rigged the entire play. And Grayscale has just basically repeated the exact same movements again, which is for their Ethereum, which again, Grayscale has quite a lot of Ethereum. And when they have Ethereum, I mean the clients that are holding Ethereum of Grayscale, Grayscale is offering a 2.5% fee again. The exact same fee they're offering for the Bitcoin ETF, and everybody sold out of Grayscale and went into BlackRock. The exact same thing is just repeating. It's just history repeating itself. That's basically what's going on. I said to everybody about a week ago, history might repeat itself for Grayscale. Miles, I don't imagine you being angry very often. No, I'm never. No, a very long time ago it was. Very long time ago. But by anger, I mean business stress. Not anger as in I want to hit someone, but anger as in just business stress. Different type of anger. Like when a deal falls through, or I can't reach a certain client or a certain director or a certain board member, and something important needs to be done at that very moment in time. So not in terms of anger of I want to hit someone, but anger in terms of business stress. And I don't make decisions anymore like that. So I just calm myself down, and whenever they call, I make the plan happen. Learned that a long time ago. Getting wise in your old age, lot. In my old age. Yeah. And good night, Miles, and all CMF. Great life, thank you. Pure market manipulation, basically. And we have reached the endings of tonight's live show as well. Grayscale are corrupt. Yes, pretty much. And we have reached the endings of tonight's live show as well. So on tonight's live show, we talked about XRP ETF potentials due to SPI holdings and their timings in the market space. We talked about Kamala Harris and Brad's Ripple CEO perspective. We talked about India essentially spearheading their regulations for crypto policies. We talked about mega interest rate cuts. We talked about the subsidiary of Coinbase Group getting fined by the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority inside the United Kingdom. We talked about RF Jr. Kennedy and his perspective on the market space if he becomes president elected of the US, buying $615 billion over Bitcoin. We also talked about Van Eck essentially predicting that Bitcoin can hit a certain price point of $2.9 million. And we also talked about on tonight's live show regarding Jersey City adapting Bitcoin ETFs in their pension fund allocations. So we've covered quite a mixture of news, and we did quite a lot of live Q&As as well on tonight's live show, as always. And JP, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Pure market manipulation, Grayscale or corrupt. Facts. Good night, Miles. Take care and see you tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. If you enjoyed this live show as well, by the way, if you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like. If you're watching us on YouTube, drop a like, drop a comment. It helps with the algorithm. Even if you drop a thumbs up inside the comment section, or thumbs down, if you want, in the comment section, it helps with the algorithm. So if you enjoyed this live show on YouTube, drop a like, drop a thumbs up in the comment section. If you're watching us on X, retweet and like the live show as well. And we also have a Telegram group as well if you want to join. The Telegram group is called Crypto Miles Family, which is basically CMF, which is the name of this live show as well, which is completely free, by the way. Everything I do is completely free source. Anybody's more than welcome to join it, and you're more than welcome to join into this live show every single night and get involved in the comment section. Everybody's absolutely amazing and very helpful inside the comment section as well, and very respectful. So if you enjoyed this live show, drop a like. It's called a CMF live show. I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, and so on. So if you enjoy it, drop a like. Good night, Miles. Take care and see you tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Orphan, thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. Orphan, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Good night, Miles and family. Brilliant life. Thanks. Have a good one. Ian, see you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. Night, Miles and CMF. Get some rest. Thanks for your wisdom as always. So blessed you have come into my life. Shelly, thank you so much for the kind words. Honestly, thank you so much for the kind words. And see you tomorrow, Shelly. Same time as usual. I will see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. Anyone have any ads tonight? Yes, Shelly, thank you so much for asking. Did anybody experience any sort of adverts? Shelly, thank you so much for reminding me. Stacy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks for the great live. I'm reading all my long-waited questions and comments. No problem. Happy Pisces anytime. If so, how many? No ads here, Shelly. Very nice live show. Good night, Miles. Take care. See you next time, my friend. Always happy to see you and hear your news. Time to turn off my CMF TV. Let's go, Carl. See you until next time, Carl. But I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Just one at the start. Denise, thank you so much for letting me know. It's good for me to know how many ads we're having. And very soon we are going to have sponsors on this live show as well. That's only because we're raising money for the CMF hedge fund. Only 2 at the start for me. Shelly, thank you so much for letting me know. So 2 at the start for you. So Australia, they show ads. No ads for Carl. No ads from Free Forever. Let's go CMF. Let's go Ian. No ads here in Canada. Okay, so no ads in Canada. So ads just coming out of Australia, basically. So the only ads we're getting is in Australia, or where Denise is from as well. Also ads, so UK, I'm guessing. So some jurisdictions are getting ads, some aren't. Okay. Well, honestly, I do appreciate for everyone telling me if you got ads on the live show or not. And Shelly, thank you so much for reminding me as well. And on that note, thanks so much for letting me know, Shelly, for reminding me. And thanks so much for everyone getting involved and telling me if there were ads or not. I will see everybody tomorrow. Same timing as usual. Interesting to see if it's by country. I think it is by country. I get ads when rewatching a live. Yeah, ads rewatching live are naturally there. But no ads for me. Ads during the live show, only some people see from YouTube. South London. Yes. So UK is seeing ads. No ads from me. For JP, no ads as well. I get ads when I rewatching normally shows the ads. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thanks for the great live. Free forever. See you tomorrow. It's okay, Miles. I'll support the hedge fund. Lol. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Don't worry, we're getting sponsors. I think by next week we should have sponsors on the live show. It's gonna be random sponsors by next week. Pretty much accepting any type of sponsors until we get the good sponsors. We have some good names of sponsors coming out with us as well, but we're gonna have some random ones as well alongside the good ones. Now, I will see, but me and Brad are drunk, so we can't really see the screen. Good night, JP. Good night, brother. See you tomorrow, same time as usual, JP. And good night, big brother. Bill, will see you tomorrow, same time as usual. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. No ads, I'm in France. Carl, thanks so much for letting me know. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. See you tomorrow.